This is episode 43 and it is jam-packed. Unfortunately, I won't be joined by Graham Hamilton from Hawks Talk, Up North, but that will take place next week. So we'll get a little lowdown on the Morley division and check in with the Blackburn Hawks. I am, however, joined this week by Colin from MG1 Elite. This guy's coaching methods are all over social media. He's worked with so many young, talented British hockey players and has now extended the reach of his abilities across the pond in the US. So Colin will be telling us all about that, as well as some of the mind-blowing training methods that he's been employing over the last few years and has clearly been improving the standard of the young British ice hockey players. We also have all the details of the weekend's game. So we've got match reports from Solent versus Invicta, Romford versus Streatham, Romford versus Invicta, Streatham versus Slough, and Chelmsford versus Oxford. Including some exclusive coaches' thoughts as well. So welcome along. Let's get started and let's drop the puck on episode 43. We start down in Gosport as Solent faced Invicta. A fast-paced start to the game at the Devil's Cauldron in Gosport. An early chance for Solent saw Osman ding the iron, but on 8:22, the home side took the lead through Forsyth. The home side continued to pressure their visitors, who from a reliable source were trying to play big pad hockey in a phone box. The Devils stretched their lead on 14:38 when the Devils' most recent signing announcement, Drew Campbell, provided the giant Joe Llewellyn with an opportunity, and he duly obliged, smashing past Ryder for 2-0. The first ended that way, and as the second started, a facial injury for Solent's player coach Alex Murray led to an ice clean being required. On 25:44, the Dynamos pulled one back when Strawson and Laschek assisted Josh Condren on the rebound for 2-1. Invicta continued to push as their hosts seemed to tire and got their just rewards right at the end of the second after Condren turned provider for Dell to make it 2-2 on 38:56. Into the third, and the home side reinvigorated, pushed through and took the lead again on 42:38 when Lackey slapped in straight from the face-off. The circles incredibly close to the goals in Gosport. As has been the theme with this game, I predicted it would be a cracker. It swung back again, and Invicta made it 3-3 as Stokes beat Taylor on the odd man rush on 47:34. The game opened up as both teams pushed for the win, and in the final 10 minutes, after some controversy as the clock continued to run during a stoppage, the time was added back on, but would it be enough? It was the home side that retook the lead when Cloutman and Forsyth worked a play that saw Dynamo's decor putting their bodies on the line, but none of them could stop Osman, making it 4-3 on 52:40. The 2 points were confirmed when Ryder made a pad save from Campbell, but Peacock was closest to the crease to tip home for 5-3 on 54:32. And that's all she wrote in Gosport. A day off for the Devils on Sunday, as Invicta will head home to welcome the Buccaneers on Sunday evening. After the game, Alex Murray and KARL LENNON gave me their thoughts on the opening weekend game, starting with Solent's player coach.
Yeah, it was a great start for us on Saturday against Invicta. I think going into the game, there was a lot of question marks over our squad and, what we'd be like with the changes. And, we're still to be tested on that. But it was great to see the new guys plus, the regulars turn up and get a really good start and 2-0 lead. And whilst Invicta pushed back, credit to them in the second, we were able to show our experience and see that game out in the third, and some great performances throughout our team. I think I got 19 guys rolling, everyone that dressed on the ice, and there were some experienced goals, and there was, youngsters scoring as well. Jack Peacock with a goal again, back in the lineup, which is great to see. So overall, really happy with the performance this weekend. And, it's great to get 2 points early in the season and lots of guys out on the ice. And now we turn our attention to Slough next Saturday and hopefully pick up another 2 points.
And after the defeat, Dynamo's coach, KARL LENNON.
We knew heading into these first competitive games of the season that we'd be presented with two different propositions, two different challenges across the weekend. And of course, tried to prepare accordingly based upon that. I was generally quite unhappy with the Saturday performance. I thought we started very poorly against Solent, and we lacked the right intensity and application in that first period. And that, I think, gave them a lot of confidence in the game. And it also gave us a hard start. We were 2-0 down very, very quickly in the game. And I felt like we were almost always chasing the fixture. The obvious thing for me was that they have a very distinctive way of playing in that rink, and we addressed that system. But the problem we had was adapting to it, because, of course, there's two things. One was that there's a number of our players that haven't played in that rink before, or some of them that haven't played there for a long while. And that's a new challenge that you've not had for some time. And obviously that's a different environment to play in. And the second part is that because it's played at a frantic pace, it's not as easy to adjust in the game to what we could see as patterns of play. However, I think as the game went on, we got better with that. And after the first period, the performance in the second was excellent. We put them under great pressure throughout that period. We managed to claw the 2 goals back. And going into the third, hand on heart, I could say that I felt like we were the team that was going to move on. I thought they started to look a little tired, but they didn't give up. And credit to Alex and his team. I thought they outperformed us on the day in terms of their intensity and their drive, and they deserved their win. It was obviously quite back and forth in that third period, and when they got the go-ahead goal, I personally don't feel like we showed enough resilience there to want that win and get that back. And that was something that I highlighted to the players after the game, and was obviously not happy about that. But like I said, Solent deserved the win. No qualms about that at all. And we've got to put that down as a lesson. And, a learning for ourselves, especially when we end up playing them again this year back in their rink.
The Buccaneers got their season underway on Saturday as they hosted the reigning league and playoff champions, and it was the Streatham REDHAWKS that drew blood first, with 2 goals through Ben Paynter and Danny Ingoldsby. The Ely Newman brothers getting 1 each as well. Sorry, no scorers from the Buccaneers. Romford made Streatham work hard for their victory, as we said in the preview. If you don't work hard against them, they will turn you over. After the game, Jason BUCKMAN and Ben Paynter gave me their thoughts.
Yeah, we went into Romford on the Saturday, and I think we were a bit surprised by their hard and fast start. They came out the blocks. They came out the blocks fast and sort of pinned us in our end for the opening part of that game there. But once we kind of settled and found our feet, I think we sort of took a bit of possession back and sort of regained a bit of control. Still showing some early signs and some signs that we got quite a new group and trying to find our feet a bit as a group. Lots of improvements to make, but all in all, we went away, got the job done, picked up 2 points on the road when we weren't at our best. So it shows that we can get it done even when we're up against it a little bit. Nathan Gregory was in the net and had a great game. And yeah, we probably weren't too happy with the performance, but there's some positives to take from it and some good individual sort of performances. Brandon Miles had a great game. Harvey Briggs had a great game as well. And yeah, I think there's positives to take and definitely highlighted some areas we need to work on.
On to Sunday, and the Buccaneers headed over the Dartford crossing and down to Gillingham to face the INVICTA DYNAMOS, smarting themselves after their defeat on the South Coast on Saturday night, and they took the lead early when Brandon Chard went unassisted on 3:01. The frantic first period swung the visitors' way on 8:55 when Ellie Wakeling and Luca Pascali assisted the impressive former Chelmsford junior Joe Tamarlin to make it 1-1. And 2 minutes later, Nathan Long assisted Sam Austin to give the Essex side the lead on 11:36. The home side regrouped and on 15:42 levelled up the game with a goal from Mads Thune, Apples to Bell and Springer Hughes. The Dynamos were starting to canter and retook the lead when Dell and Stevenson assisted James Laming with a cracking finish for 3-2. The second started with INVICTA really putting the pressure on their guests, but failing to extend their lead. The Bucks nearly levelled up, but dinged the iron just before the halfway mark. Austin took a tripping penalty on 29:07, and in the resulting power play, INVICTA made it 4-2, when Springer Hughes scored, assisted by Laschek and McCallan. Romford returned the favour after Laschek sat for delay of game, and Nathan Long scored a power play goal with Pascali on the assists. The second finished 4-3. Into the third, and Mads Thun got his second with a cheeky little backhand a minute and 43 into the period to make it 5-3. With 10 to play, the Dynamos extended their lead again through Owen Dale, making it 6-3. Romford called a timeout shortly after, possibly fearing the game would slip away quickly as the home side were really in their stride now. INVICTA finished the scoring with the 10th goal of the game from Huggett on 54-36, making it 7-3. Again, Romford made their opponents work very hard for the victory and will go into next week's Essex Derby without a win, but certainly performances to build on. For INVICTA, they also face Chelmsford next week as they host the Chieftains for the first time this season. Hopefully not the first of 10 meetings like last year. After the game, KARL LENNON and Jason BUCKMAN gave me their thoughts, starting with the Dynamos head coach, KARL LENNON.
Sunday was a very different proposition. Obviously, Romford would have come off of, probably a bit of a high, having a decent result against Streatham the night before. And of course, we're all looking around the league at the moment, trying to understand how teams are faring up against each other, because a lot of us haven't managed to play each other just yet. I think overall the performance was good, and there were some incredible, great individual goals, especially on Sunday. Mads picking up his first two for the Dynamos, fantastic finishes. Owen Dale on the score sheet again. Tommy Huggett with an absolute bomb of a slap shot. Ruskin with a great wrist shot in the top corner. And little Brandon kicked it all off for us with a beautiful sort of solo deke at the start of the game. Maybe the highlight goal was James Lehmann's individual effort, which I've not seen a goal in that building to that level for quite some time, if ever at all. So it's definitely one to watch on the highlights package that no doubt we'll put out this week. But it was a game that was closely contested. Romford were very organised, and they created problems for us in the first two periods in particular. And a lot of those problems for me came more from individual errors, where we made poor decisions on changes, or we didn't clear zones, or we took silly penalties, and ultimately that gave them a foothold in the game, when I think at times we could have been clearer than what we were. But ultimately in the third period we pulled away, and we performed very well. We managed that game out very well at the end as well too, and a good win, and of course 2 points on the board, which we've got to be happy about. So a mixed bag of a weekend, and lots to work on, of course, and we take that forward now into Chelmsford next week. We have had a number of games against each other in the last year, especially. I think it was 10 last season. And, for the most part, we came out on top of that, which, of course, we can take confidence from. But we know that they're a very different proposition than what they were last season. I'm sure that Cliff has got them organised and very well structured. And, of course, they have new players on board, which will improve them. So we will not underestimate what they can bring to the table. And so we're expecting a big challenge this weekend. But, of course, we're really looking forward to it and, continue our season on from here. So, big weekend ahead of training, and a big weekend of games for us to come to, and look forward to it. Thanks.
The Buccaneers coach was in reflective mood after the weekend and gave me his thoughts.
Tough weekend of results for the Buccaneers. A lot of positives to take from the weekend, though. Pretty sure the rest of the league has probably written this young team off at the beginning of the year. Saturday's result against Streatham was a tight, close game. We conceded a short-handed goal, but we also hit the crossbar, and that's the margins we're working with. Could have been a 3-3 game quite easily. Sunday, again, really tough game against INVICTA. I would say 4 to 5 bad defensive zone mistakes. And when you play a team like INVICTA with the offensive power they have, they make you pay for it. Moving forward, it's going to not get any easier against Chelmsford this Saturday. But as I said, the lots of positives to take out of both games at the weekend, and hopefully this young squad can learn from the mistakes and move forward and improve.
Sunday night saw the Streatham REDHAWKS host the Slough Jets, and a foggy start on the high road saw the Jets take the lead after killing off an early penalty. Jacob Minter assisted Seb Moore to make it 1-0 on 5:59. 30 seconds later, heads were lost as young Jacob Minter decided to take a pop at Streatham's fearsome enforcer, ending up with Minter and Miles both sitting for 5. After the penalties had expired, the Ely Newman brothers played their own game as Ben sets up Josh for 1-1 at 13:27. After swapping some penalties at the start of the second, player coach Ben Paynter did what he does best and stole in to put his side ahead, short-handed on 34-16. Into the third, and after Minter took a seat for delay of game, the REDHAWKS' powerful power play line did the business again as Paynter and Pitchley assisted Ben Ely Newman for 3-1 on 46-30. Slough pulled Massey late on but couldn't affect the outcome. Both netties taking man of the match. That normally tells its own story. After the game, Ben Paynter gave me his thoughts.
Going into sort of the game against Slough on Sunday, we kind of knew what to expect with them. They're a young, fast team, plenty of skill, and they keep coming, they keep working, and they're a difficult team to play against. So we knew what to expect, and I think the mood was good before the game. We were definitely up for it. Got into some penalty trouble at times, but it was sort of a good hard game. Probably really good for a neutral fan or any fan really to watch the game. It was end-to-end stuff. Danny Milton had an unbelievable game in the net. Made some massive saves, definitely in the third, to keep us where we were and keep our lead. And yeah, I think we sort of showed that we can bounce straight back from a not so great game on a Saturday and really get a decent performance in against a decent team on the Sunday on home ice. Like I say, still more to work on, but we're building, and every week we're sort of we're getting better and galvanising a bit more as a group. And I think if we can play that way and have that mentality that we did on the Sunday and find a bit more cohesion throughout the squad and sort of everyone gets their legs back under them, I think we will we'll be good this year and continue picking up points along the way and just take game by game. And yeah, to get that one against Slough was a good sort of a real good sort of sign of where we're going this year and what we can do when we really knuckle down.
The final game of Sunday night saw the Oxford City Stars visit the Riverside in Chelmsford for what was sure to be an exciting one. Quite a tense start, and Chieftains had an early power play opportunity, and although worked the puck well, it almost seemed to miss a Bartlett waiting at the blue line for a slap shot. The Stars killed off that early penalty. The Chieftains called upon the Chelmsford Warriors to fill 4 lines, including Frankie Clover, Tom Baptist and Josh Fall. Baptist got 2 for slashing seconds into his first shift at 6:31. However, Chieftains killed off that penalty with some great saves from Jordan Lauday. A hit on Damon Porter in the corner saw the Canadian leave the ice and not return. However, after speaking to him briefly today, no real damage, more precautionary than anything, so we should see him out again soon. The game ignited on 11 minutes when Alan Lack and Tom Banner clashed in a goalmouth scramble, seeing both sit for 5. This seemed to give the Chieftains the impetus to push on, and within seconds, neat play from Fillery and Rayner fed Ollie Baldock, who finished top shelf for 1-0 on 11:40. On 15:51, strong work by Tom Baptist saw the puck behind the net with TJ Fillery, who cheekily hit the puck off the back of former teammate Petr Cech and into the net for 2-0. 30 seconds later, it was 3 when Jay King had a shot that missed the target but angled off the board behind the goal to an unmanned James Pentecost, who gratefully tapped home with his baby son in attendance. A minute later, and Oxford's misery was compounded when great work again from Pentecost saw his shot rebound off Czech's pads, and Halden Barnes-Garner collected and slot home from close range for 4-0 on 17:19. The pressure continued, but the scoring in the first finished with 0.4 on the clock as Jay King, who never scores, hit a rasping shot above Peter Cech's stick side shoulder to rapturous applause, and the first finished 5-0. Whatever Simon Anderson said in the interval must have had an effect, as his star side came out hungry and pulled one back early when on 20:55 Aaron Moody finished, assisted by Dylan Hullaby. The second remained open and competitive. A big hit in the neutral zone on Tom Baptist saw the bucket fly off, and the rink staff have to come and clean some blood off the ice. I understand Tom has been to hospital to have an eye injury looked at, hoping he is okay. The forwards were forcing both netminders to make great saves, and the game caught fire again on 18:32 when a hit on Dan Fay wasn't taken very kindly by Kieran Rayner. He dropped gloves with Dax Hedges. For an even affair, a slip by Rayner bringing an early conclusion to that one. The third period was almost quite tense, and you could tell both sets of players were still searching for that match fitness. The Stars finished on the penalty kill after a late cross-checking penalty for Dylan Hullaby, but the score remained the same. A 5-1 win at home for the Chieftains, and after the game, Oxford head coach Simon Anderson gave me his thoughts.
Yeah, disappointing loss for us last night, first game of the season. I think we started okay, and then obviously we had a few decent looks on Jordan. We couldn't quite put the puck in the net, and then we had a crazy sort of 7 or 8 minute spell where we kind of fell apart in the first period, and if it wasn't for Petter in goal, I think it probably could have been worse. But to be fair to the guys, we battled back, and I think in the second and third period, over those 2 periods, we obviously won the game 1-0. There's no consolation or points for that, I know, but it gives us something to cling on to and take into next week against Slough. We know now we can't afford to take a shift off in this league, or you'll get punished. Especially against teams like Chelmsford, they will punish you, and that's ultimately what they did. But we're not going to feel sorry for ourselves now. We're going to move forward, dust ourselves down. We know what it takes to be better by the way we played in the second and third, and we'll get ready and practice on Wednesday and take it into Slough next week and hope for a more positive result.
A massive thank you to all the coaches that took the time to supply their coaches' thoughts from the weekend. It is genuinely and massively appreciated. The coaches' thoughts will be available separately on YouTube later in the week as well.